Alright everyone, Supreme Kami over here. So I do want to touch bases on the Armor Ray, the new build project pilots over here before I do talk about the Unicorn Phenex over here. So this is going to be our new build project pilots over here. And look at those vortex or those specific pilots we're able to use this on. So you can use this on Outfighter, middle shooter, and then long shooters over here. So this is a very good intriguing build project pilot to be using. And then in terms of the portrait, this one I'm not going to talk about the stat real quick, but in terms of the portrait, so this one is giving you a EXQ power boosting though, so that's kind of good. And then secondary portrait is something that we have seen from the Wing Zero already. So this one is going to be giving a squad cooldown by 19% over here. So I don't know why they put the S right there. Like, are they? I have no idea why they they do that right there. But this one is going to be purely another support for, let's say, you know, just having on an ally and just allowing you to gain a little bit more, let's say, cooldown. And let's say your main suit itself is not able to generate up to 100%. So this is very good. I think this one right here, and then the wing zeros the back part or the leg part over here, I think they're definitely going to be very good in, let's say, specifically in arena specifically, just because how I would feel like, you know, a cooldown build are still kind of something that a lot of people are tend to build around for. So you guys do have these two right here, you're getting up to 18% already. Let's say you're not subsiding that to, let's say you're not putting on your ally, and you're not, let's say you're not putting on your own suits and putting on your ally, you're gaining an additional 18%. So I would have to say Armor Ray is definitely going to be one of those pilots depending on what you're trying to play for. If you guys don't care, like if you guys remotely don't care about arena at all, you don't care about having like a good cooldown build for like a squad specifically use, this is definitely something you guys can kind of skip on for now and probably wait for something that is a little bit more generalized. So something that is like I don't know, maybe let me see, I think the past few ones we've been having are a little bit more on the utility base, so we haven't really got something that is like purely like strictly power boosting. I want to say the last one we got, was it this one, Neo? What is he looking like? Yeah, so the last time we got something that is a little bit more strictly power boosting was this guy right here. So this one is like a strictly EXQ power boosting. And then the fuse one that we got later down the road, like what was it? This guy right here, he is strictly gonna be some EXQ cooldown right there, or reducer there. So that's that. So lately they really have been pushing for like different agenda in terms of what the build projects are doing. So like this one over here, this one is like a all power reducer there. So so we really have not gotten anything that is strictly power boosting like lately. So that's kind of in a different direction. So this one is going to be initial squad charge. So this one is going to be good for a different set of build, obviously. So it really depends what you guys are working for, definitely. If you guys feel like Armor Ray can fit really well for, let's say, your cooldown reduction type build, definitely pick him out. If you guys don't care about that, he is simply a skip for this time around, and maybe focus on what they may drop next month around. So alright, with that said, let's gonna go back into the Unicorn Phenex review here. So in terms of the Unicorn Phenex, you know, compare that stat by stat to the Wing Zero, it is definitely going to be losing out by a landslide throughout the case right here. So I did talk about, you know, stat is definitely not the most, like, the first thing we kind of take a look at, but if anyone is just wondering like which one has the highest stats, you know, of the overall roster, you guys can see that the Unicorn is actually losing by a lot. So but there is still some very good portrait that I do want to share with you guys right now. I think the Unicorn head portrait is definitely one of the best ones that they have dropped. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people do know by now that I am a big fan when they drop these above EXQ effects. Simply enough, they do allow you to do just a lot more damage enough. So that's why I do kind of prey on these specific portrait a lot right there. So in terms of the condition of the first one, it's going to be generally like EXQ power boosting. So you gain a 30% right there when you are using a Saber category. So it's either you using this, it's either you have it on a skin, so your skin must have it equipped to a Saber category, or you don't use the skin, your melee weapon has to be a Saber. So in terms of this one is really very good, so no complaints on this one over here. But my only concern is that because we have seen something of a higher percentage rating from the Horus, the S attribute, so I don't know if it's really like the best way to handle it, just because this one is very good already. So the first portrait, you know, the Buffy XQFS is starting out at 20% already and 20 to a 25 ratio. So I feel like eventually they might phase out the 30 to 30% ratio. So that's why I don't know, is it really that good to go ham into it and let's say invest all your resources into it. I know you're not really missing that much. You're missing out basically 5% EXQ and then 5% for the buff EXQ effects. But if you use 3 EXQ that has any built-in attacks, you're losing out 15% from activating from first to the last EXQ. So you guys can definitely wait until they potentially drop a 30 to 35 to a 40% split ratio for these over here. But in terms of buff EXQ effects portray, it is a very rare occasion they drop it. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say they will drop any like new ones soon. But lately, but they have been dropping a lot. So that is definitely kind of a change we have been seeing. But you guys can definitely invest into this one. I think it's still a very good idea to do that. Simply missing 5% and then 15 for the buffs is not really that big of a deal, just because we don't know when's the next time they drop a higher percentage. But overall, the head part is definitely a very good one to be investing into. But I think the most letdown for the Unicorn Phenex is definitely the Vortex. So the overall Vortex for the Phenex is a close combat for space and then high firepower. So I don't know what's up with them like start throwing a lot of, let's say, for space. I know that for the Phenex, this one specifically, it is heavily revolved around space, so it does kind of make sense. But in terms of building around for space, I think right now it's still a little bit more premature. There's just not a lot of supporting part that goes along with that, so that's why I feel like that is definitely another concerning issue if you are using the head part right there. But overall, portrait definitely makes it for it, and just the Vortex is just a little bit wonky, I will have to say. Alright, moving on to the torso. The torso is going to be a built-in EXQ buffer over here, just awakening. So generally speaking, I don't really like alterating these over here just because I feel like they're kind of like a waste in terms of your EXQ slot. So this one is simply fulfilling like what yourself a melee attack up by 49%, which is easily achievable if you use any EXQ already. So with that said, I feel like the torso is simply the one you just gonna tell yourself like just kind of skip on it. It's not really too impressive overall. So I think if you do have the torso, for example, I'm not really gonna recommend you guys alterating it. This one is definitely gonna be a hot skip in my opinion. But the armor wise is definitely really high. The defensive value is definitely really high as well. So if you guys are planning to use it for any defensive type, just for the pure style, let's say when we have those shot defense, like shot defense arena or melee defense arena, these parts may be something you want to look into just for those specific arenas week. But other than that, this one I will have to say don't alterate it. It's just not worth the time and effort. Alright, moving on to the arm. So let's see what the arm has for us over here. So in terms of arm, we are going to be looking at slightly dialing back in terms of overall stat. But in terms of the actual defensive stat, it is very high. They're basically 9K, 10K, crazy enough. So that's kind of good in terms of defensive value with there. The word tag is actually quite good as well. So close combat and then high firepower. So you're starting to get back into your normal kind of relevant word tag wise over here. So in terms of the EXQ over here, so this is going to be a very, very good EXQ in terms of the actual effects over here. So first things first, we are going to get some melee attack to your overall squad, so that's always going to be good. And you're also going to be getting some shot defense to your squad as well. And most importantly, we are getting another melee skill cooldown instantly by 38%. So this one is very good. This one's going to be a melee physical, so that's good as well. SS plus, you know, that is even better than the Galleon's where's he at? He's right here actually. So this one is going to be a lot more better than this one, I would have to say. Wait, this one is SS and this one is S plus, SS plus. Wow, okay, I did not expect that, right? SS plus, wow, this one is probably gonna hit like a truck. Okay. And I am assuming this one is actually an awakenable EXQ, same as the Galleon. So in terms of actually stacking your attack buffers, it's not going to work like that. So you might have to find 2 additional EXQ that is like a non-awakenable, simply that will allow you to stack it. But yeah, this one simply dethroned this one. But my concern about the unicorn version of it is how long is the actual animation. Because in terms of the big arm unit, it's a very long EXQ animation. It definitely looked good in visually, but in terms of like, oh, I want to stack some attacks after using it, I don't know how long of a timer you have left. So generally speaking, if I were to use the big arm or even the unicorn, if it has a long animation, I will probably save it to the last. So whatever the buff is stacked from the first 2 EXQ onto this one, they will not run that fast. So I'll definitely test it out to see how long of an animation is that and how long of, like, how much timer buffer we have left. That is definitely the biggest question. But overall, this one is definitely one that the one you want to alterate simply because we do have a SS plus power. Prior to maxing out, we are starting out at an SS power already, so that is very good. So if you could do put arm, definitely alterate it. It's just too good. It hits hard. I'm just gonna say it hits hard right now, but we will definitely see as I test it out myself later on. Alright, so speaking of the leg, man, look at those legs. 10k, 10.2k for both defensive stat. My gosh. So if anyone, like I said again, for arena specifically for that 1 week, so if we ever come across another melee defense or shot defense arena, these legs right here are definitely something you want to potentially use because they are bringing in the table with 10k defensive stat for both. So this is a very good legs to be using for sure. So in terms of overall portrait, so this is definitely one of the next best part from the set because look at that, you're getting a squad EXQ power boosted by 35%. So this one is definitely going to be, if I were to use this leg for example, I am definitely throwing this leg on a supporting, like for my ally specifically, because let's say your main unit is primarily trying to do the maximum damage. So this one allow you to sneak in some extra bonus attacks with her. So this is probably one of the best portrait in game right now for supporting roles specifically. I will have to say eventually we might start seeing a lot more of these squads specifically. Do keep that in mind. In terms of squad, it actually applies to solo gameplay as well. So let's say you're not using it for your ally, you're using it for yourself only. This actually works, so I'll leave in the link in the description below. Check out CF19 or CF18's in the Reddit over here. He actually did some testing on this one over here, and it actually works for yourself as well. So you guys can definitely check that out as well. And this one is also going to be bringing in the table, so some EXQ cooldown by 10% at base level 1 and then 30 or 23% at max. So this is a very powerful portrait to be looking at. So if you guys are able to put a leg part, this is going to be another one that is a must portrait and throw this into your supporting ally right there. Not bad. This is very good. Alright, moving on to the backpack up here. So backpack EXQ is probably going to be a little bit more disappointing, I gotta say, because in terms of the EXQ, it's simply going to be a beam saber or dual saber combo over here. So I don't have too much to say about this one. Animation wise, it's pretty much not going to be anything too fancy. So that is that. Wartail wise, we're back to using for space, so that is unfortunate. So this one speaking is not nearly the highest on the stat, does not have any portrait. So the backpack is definitely something you can skip out for now and probably don't even alterate it because it's pretty much not worth it. It's not worth the time and effort and the resources into it. So backpack for me is going to be a hot skip for sure. Alright, moving on to the Saber right now. So let's see how the Saber is doing. Like I said again, the Saber is definitely packing some incredibly high defensive stats, so it's going to be very good for, let's say, your melee slash shot defense arena. So they are going to be bringing in a lot of stat for that. So in terms of the beam saber, I want to say this is going to be another very good supporting portrait for your ally. So this one instantly going to, or for yourself specifically, I would have to say this one. So simply enough, this one's going to be giving you another EXQ cooldown reduced by 23% at max, and this one is also offering a initial EXQ charge boost by 25%. So if I recall, we should have gotten something like this before already. Let me see if I can find it on the list right here. I remember we got something like that before, either for the ranged weapon or something else. Like I remember you got something like that. So this is definitely a very good ideal situation in Alteration, I guess. You know, simply enough, you're getting 15% at base already, so that's very good. 10%, so not bad. If you guys are able to put a beam saber, this is potentially something you can use because you do have some very good essential portrait that allow you to kickstart your EXQ very quick, so that's not bad. In terms of the EXQ cooldown, they're definitely gonna need a little bit more work in terms of investing it. 10% is definitely gonna not make it a cut, so I will have to say you should be around 15 to 20% to be effective. So if you guys don't mind putting this into the growth period, this is definitely something I would say kind of go for it for your CD build for sure. So not bad for the beam saber. Alright, so moving on to the ranged weapon over here, and the ranged weapon is going to be another very good supporting 40% trait for a melee build, especially for infighter job license over here. So double 40% trait, so nothing to complain about that. And then in terms of the overall stat, you guys can see the parameter is somewhere you can see from a head part, like 14,000 for shot attack, like for a melee specifically weapon. That is kind of crazy. So this one, you can I was gonna say you can kind of throw this onto your shooting build, but me looking at those word tags or those specific portrait, they will not work. But overall, if you guys are able to pull the beam series or the beam magnum, this is definitely gonna be another part that you may want to throw to your build if you guys are running an infighter job license build over here. So overall, in terms of the unicorn Phenex over here, definitely the stat is not going to be as impressive, but overall in terms of the portrait that we're giving, I think they are definitely a lot more better. Just I guess they're just a little bit more generalized, that they're I feel like that a lot of people can definitely take advantage of. The head part is definitely going to be really good. The leg part definitely a very good supporting role portrait. No matter how where you kind of look at it, for yourself, for your ally, just for everyone in your overall team, very good. In terms of the beam saber, definitely really good for some kicking off some for first time EX skill usage, and then beam rival simply does a 40% portrait is just cannot resist those. So that being said, that's going to be pretty much it in terms of the unicorn. Just a very good portrait overall. Stat wise, it's not going to be too good overall, and word tag wise may suffer slightly, but overall portrait does mix up majority of what we're kind of lacking. So with that being said, that's going to be pretty much it, and then I'll catch you guys all on the next one.